Hi, before I start, I'd like to apologise for the blurriness of the picture, but unfortunately it looks like my webcam is finally dying. But we will carry on. I'd like to ask you to watch this video to the end because although it doesn't look like a lot of effort's been taken, it does take a lot of effort for someone with my cognitive impairment to get anything written. Also, I ask you to like, share and comment on this video, whether you agree with it or not. I moderate all comments, so only the nicer, less abusive comments are posted. And now, on with the video. Society is filled with hierarchies, and these hierarchies help to provide some kind of structure to help smooth the working of various organisations that make up the fabric of human existence. Workplaces, the armed forces, political institutions, even families have a type of hierarchical structure. Unfortunately, new pernicious hierarchies have been created that have nothing to do with any form of useful structural context for society and are in fact starting to break down societal cohesion. Before I cover the main subjects of this video, I feel I need to touch on one of the other pernicious hierarchies first. Anyone who's been paying attention will have heard of one of these new hierarchies when the discussion turns to the current governmental administration, the hierarchy of racism. Keir Starmer has embedded this new type of hierarchy into what was once called the Labour Party by treating anti-Semitism much more forcefully than any other type of racism within his party and in society as a whole. Now let's ignore the fact that Starmer equates anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism for a moment and just say here and now that anti-Semitism is a truly bad thing. But is it any worse than any other type of racism? I would say that it categorically isn't. Racism is racism, and it doesn't matter who the target is, it's wrong. However, that's not how it's being treated. One form of racism has been placed above another to form a basic hierarchy of racism. What some people don't realise is there's a form of hierarchy within the disabled community. In fact, some disabled people don't even realise that they've internalised this hierarchy into their thinking. Before I continue, I will state that not every member of the disabled community has succumbed to this hierarchical thinking, but there is a definite structure that has been allowed to form. This hierarchy of disability is quite simple, and whether acknowledged by the disabled community or not, puts people with physical and or sensory impairments above those with psychological issues. I have seen this hierarchy in action when a physically disabled person, a member of the DPAC Facebook group, actually suggested that I shouldn't have been a member of the group because I only had mental health issues and intimated that mental health isn't a real disability. I was actually forced out of the Facebook group for another reason, but I would have left on my own volition given such a hostile attitude to the mentally unwell. The fact that a hierarchy of disability has been allowed to form has split the disabled community at a time when solidarity is desperately needed. I haven't worked out whether neurodivergent and educationally challenged individuals are placed on hierarchy of disability because those groups tend to be less vocal due to the complexities of their challenges with social interactions. However, I've noticed that those groups tend to be less judgmental of others' disabilities, so they wouldn't place themselves anywhere on the hierarchy of disability, leaving it for the people with physical, sensory or psychological disabilities to do that placement for them. Unfortunately, it's not just within the disabled community as a whole that hierarchy has formed. There is a hierarchy of mental illness too, a hierarchy that has come into being, though like the hierarchy of disability, was not necessarily consciously constructed. I've seen this in action too. Years ago, I was part of a mental health service user research project, and I met many mentally unwell people as I helped gather the data the project was looking to compile. I started to notice that people with the less common mental illnesses, such as schizophrenia or bipolar, tend to view people with just depression as less severely affected by their condition. The truth is, society as a whole views depression as the common cold of mental health because it's the most common mental health condition. And this is reflected in the overuse of the word depression in common parlance to describe when someone is a bit sad. Depression is, however, far more serious than people are led to believe and can be a lot more disabling than one would first believe. I'm a depressive, so under the hierarchies that I am forced to live, I'm at the very bottom, according to those who have internalized these structures into their thinking. According to some of the people with physical or sensory impairments, I'm considered either not disabled at all or less deserving of the epithet disabled. And amongst my own community, the mentally unwell, I'm considered by some to be less severely affected than them because I suffer with mental health's common cold. This wouldn't be such a problem if the hierarchies of disability and mental illness hadn't been adopted as current government policy when it comes to disability benefits. Mental ill health has always been harder to claim disability benefits for and was the target of the changes to the eligibility criteria for personal independence payments by making depression and anxiety ineligible conditions, which reinforces the hierarchy of mental illness that I've described. These hierarchies are dangerous to the disabled community because it makes it harder to come together as a collective to fight for the justice we all deserve. Society is fractured enough as it is. We need to destroy these hierarchical structures that divide the disabled community before it's too late, because the only people who benefit from the divisions are the people in Starmer's regime. Do we really want them to win? Thanks for watching. Again, if you'd like to click the like button, do so. Please share, and don't forget to comment. I do genuinely read all the comments, even though I may not reply to all of them, and I do take on board what you say. Also, why not think about subscribing? And if you do, click the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new videos. I'm also do occasional posts to the posts page, so do have a look there in case I've got an announcement that I can't be bothered to make a video for, and I'll see you later.